Hello and greetings, Stargate greetings, Lionsgate greetings. Happy Lionsgate. It's Psychic Cynthia here, and I'm wishing you much spiritual healing and awakening during this time of sacred activation. Each year, those of us who are on a higher path of spiritual consciousness, at least some of us, we connect spiritually and we focus on healing and transmutation and transformation and yes, manifestation on this day of 8/8. The Lion's Gate is actually a modern evolution of an ancient Egyptian spiritual and astrological celebration and a knowledge, a practice. So this does come to us from ancient roots, although the term Lion's Gate itself is quite modern. And some people like to poo-poo on the Lion's Gate. They like to dismiss it just because it's not regular Western astrology, as if the Egyptians didn't have wisdom. And, you know, it's true that we love our double numbers in the modern world, don't we? We love the repeating numbers. But we are allowed to evolve. And many of us did have incarnations in ancient Egypt. We are the ancients come again. And we are simply remembering our ancient practices. And we are adapting them and carrying them forward to our needs, our times. And that is what we have with the evolution of Lion's Gate. The original shift that the Egyptians marked, that we now call Lion's Gate, where Lion's Gate has evolved from, this was actually the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. And there's a whole alignment. If you look at the pyramids, of course, the pyramids are aligned with Orion. And at this time of year, as Sirius was rising, what we mean by heliacal rising is basically Sirius was too close to the sun prior to this, and then it's going to come up again. It's going to come up out of the shadow of the radiance of the sun to reemerge on the eastern horizon. So we have the reappearance of Sirius, of the spiritual sun, after a time of being overshadowed. And this, at the same time, in ancient Egypt, according to the records, as this was happening, we also had the annual flood of the Nile River. Now, this flood of the Nile River, I want you to think of it not just then, but now. Think of it like they were an agriculture society. They needed this flood. It brought the healing, it brought the renewal that they needed so that their entire civilization could go on. So you can understand why the modern Lion's Gate has a connection with abundance, because that was abundance. Water is abundance. In a biological, more natural-based society, even in a farming-based society, water is abundance. It is life. Water is also emotion, and you might notice the flooding of the emotions right now during this time of awakening and activation. And you have to understand all of these alignments that they were marking in ancient Egypt. It wasn't just August 8th. In fact, that may not have even been the date, okay? It was, they were looking at that heliacal rising of Sirius again, when they could see the star, but they're also looking at it aligning up Orion with Orion. So basically, you can think of it as having a gateway between, about July 28th, 27th to around August 11th, August 12th. So it's not over, okay? I would say, yes, the modern Lion's Gate is 8/8. But if you want to think of it more as a continuum of energy relating back to this ancient celebration, It begins at the end of July and goes to around, mid-August, August 12th. Okay. And in fact, you might look at where you live at. You could probably look this up with some tool online. When exactly is the heliacal rising of Sirius? Just look it up. I know for the Chicago latitude and time zone, which I don't live in Chicago, but that's like, the closest giant city. It's not even that giant. It's going to be August 11th this year. And I find that really interesting because that's the same day Mercury goes back direct this year, just this year, 2025. Okay, so if you want to get more technical, you can look up the actual date for the heliacal rising of Sirius in your area, and that is spelled Sirius. But you don't have to get technical if you don't want to, because this is about a spiritual activation. And yes, let's use our minds and get the information that we need to assist in our awakening. But this is mainly an activation through the heart, because the sun is in Leo. Hence the term Lion's Gate. Leo the lion. Awakening your strength, your inner nobility, your courage. And yes, we can think of manifestation now. Think about what you want to create, but let's put it in again in the ancient context. And remember, we are the ancients come again. Think about those pyramids aligning with Orion and watching this rising of Sirius from the pyramids. And pyramids, they are still to this day one of the crowning achievements of humanity and or star beings, I might add. And what is the purpose of the pyramids? Well, whole books have been written about that, but I would say that those are sacred structures. And we do know that they were used for community and strengthening social ties and to celebrate ceremonies, to connect with the cosmos, the divine energies. So when you're thinking about manifestation in your life right now, think about these things. Feel into how you can get more clear, how you can visualize and set intentions for strengthening community, goodwill, healthy social ties. And yes, it's good to manifest for yourself, for your own abundance, to meet your own needs. The universe does want to help you with that. So if you have something you are dealing with, put that out there. Ask for help. Always ask for help from the spiritual realms. Don't be silly. Don't be stupid. Don't try to do it all yourself. Why would you try to do it all yourself when there are countless spiritual helpers and energies, including the star energies, wishing to assist you? So open your heart at this time of Lion's Gate. And remember, even if you're watching this later after August 8th, I think the gate's still open a little while longer yet. I mean, the gate can always be open in our third eyes. We can go there and reawaken it. It's just a little bit easier to connect when there's actually a physical phenomenon going on with it. So yes, it can be a time of personal manifestation, as well as opening your heart to manifest in a more sacred way, to ask for help for others. Now listen, this isn't interfering, okay? And I'm not telling you to go get involved in everybody else's business or to take on their karma. Stop doing that crap, okay? That's just not good for anybody. It can be quite toxic, in fact. But what we can do during times when there is a power portal open like this, we can align our higher will, or our human will with higher will. We can join with others in the sacred Gaia heart space, and we can ask for healing for all, or even for a certain group whom we feel is in desperate need of healing or protection. course, we always ask for permission on the inner planes. We always ask that this be done in accordance with the free will of all involved. But yes, is there a person in your life who is struggling, or a group, a country, just someone you'd like to send love and light to? And listen, only use this for good. I know there's going to be somebody listening who is going to be tempted to use this energy to send ill will towards another person who they think deserves it. Just remember the law of 3, and I've also heard it called the law of 7. That's whatever you do comes back to you 3 times multiplied over, or is it 7 or 10 times? So if you send that ill will back, you send it to somebody, it's going to come back to you. And I don't care how deserving they seem to be. I know it's hard. Some people we really don't understand. It's hard to understand why they do what they do. There's always a reason, by the way. It's just not one we know of or privy to. I mean, I'm not saying it makes sense on a logical level, but to them, with their history, what they've been through, it makes sense. But anyway, if you send ill will to somebody, you're basically entering into a karmic entanglement with them, especially if you do that during this time of energy enhancement. So don't do that. Just truly send the love and the light and the healing, and ask for that to be reflected back to you. And it will be. Many blessings to all of you watching, you ancient, wise souls. Come again.